Hello and welcome to the channel. I hope you're all well. On a recent trip to Montana, one of the subscribers mentioned a couple of flies that he had had some success with. One was the green weenie and the other one was the France fly. And I'm going to tie them both today. And I'm going to start off with the green weenie. Now it seems to me that the green weenie can be tied long or it can be tied short, like this, to represent some sort of larvae bug, a green larvae bug, and the longer version to represent the inchworm. So that's the version I'm going to tie today, with a size 12 long shank and a 3.3 gold bead, and I'll be tying with 8/0 light Cahill thread. So I'm just going to set the bead, tie it on that vice. And trim up the excess. Now I'm just going to run the thread along the hook shank. It doesn't have to be touching turns, and this will help grip the chenille when I tie in the body, and back up to the thorax area. Now the body is chenille, and it's a fluorescent green, chartreuse, lime, whatever colour you'd like to use, and whatever style of chenille you want to use. This particular one I've had for many years, and it's been in my chenille box and it's not used that often. So I think it was probably described as suede chenille. Just tie that in behind the bead and wind down hook shank, binding in the chenille. Now this has an interesting tail. It is a loop. Now I think this comes from the movement of the inchworm. The inchworm has legs at the front and at the back, so when it moves it creates a loop in the abdomen. The loop is trying to imitate the abdomen. So try and keep the loop on top and tie it in tight. I'm going to put a wrap underneath as well, and then I'm going to run my thread back up to the bead. Now as I wind this on, I'm going to twist the chenille because I think it gives it an interesting surface as it's wound on. So just start winding on at the back and carry on winding up the shank of the body. Up to the bead. And tie off the chenille. And trim up the excess. Now before I tie it off, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue onto the thread. And tie off the fly. And trim up the tying thread. And that's the fly finished. A really simple fly, nothing spectacular, but very attractive to all species of trout, cutthroats, rainbows, browns. A very simple fly and a very effective fly. So that's the first one. I'll take that out of the vise. And the second one was the France fly. Now for this I'm going to use a size 14 jig hook. I don't often use jig hooks. There you go. And this has got a 2.8 copper bead. Now it seems to me a bit like the green weenie, you can have any colour bead that suits. And the same with the colour of the body. This happens to be on a standard hook, and it is an olive green size 18. So I'll be tying in brown, and I'll be using 10-0 brown thread. I'll just set the bead. Like so. And trim up the excess. Now this does have a tail, and I'm going to use some coq de lion fibres. I'll just take a few fibres off, bring them out at 90 degrees and tear them off and tie them in. Now for some unknown reason this fly seems to have a very long tail, so I'll be tying it with a tail that is a little longer than I would normally tie in. Like so. And trim up the excess fibres. And I'm going to bring my thread back up to behind the bead. Right, now I have said that you can use any colour. I'm going to use this dark brown to create the body. And I'm going to snip a piece off. This is just a stretchy silicone. It comes in different guises, different names, but that's basically what it is. So I'm going to tie that in behind the bead. Make sure you tie it in quite well, because you're going to stretch it as you bring it down the hook shank to keep it as slim as possible initially. Like so, and then bring the thread back up to the bead. And when you wrap this on, stretch it as far as possible to keep it thin at the rear of the fly, and then you can release the tension as you work your way up the hook shank, creating this ribbed effect that gets thicker towards the thorax area and the bead. This nice segmentation effect. And tie off the silicone and stretch it as you tie it off. And keep it stretched as you trim up the excess. Like so. Let's tidy up. Now this does have a collar. It's quite a fine collar, and in this instance I'm going to use some hare's ear, but it is the dark hare's ear, the darkest part of the hare's ear, almost black it looks, but it's a very, very dark brown. So I'm just going to dub this on. We won't need a lot. It's quite a thin collar. Keep that tight, like so. And before I tie it off, I'm going to just put some glue onto the thread. And tie off the fly. And trim up the tying thread. Now the collar is supposed to be quite tightly cut. In other words, no long fibres. So I'm just going to trim up some of these longer fibres. And there you have the finished France fly. In this instance, brown. I understand it's a great little fly. It's not something that I've used a lot in Spain, but it's certainly something that I'll be trying. Okay, so they are the two flies. Thank you very much for viewing. There's the green weenie and the France fly. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up, share it, become a subscriber if you're not already a subscriber, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.